In today's video, we're diving into Donald Trump's latest political moves, exploring his controversial new take on manifest destiny. From his bold approach to tariffs and the Panama Canal to the renewed interest in acquiring Greenland, Trump is reshaping global strategy in ways we haven't seen in decades. Stick around as we unpack what this means for America's future and international relations. Trump's tariff policy remains one of his most aggressive tools for reshaping US relationships with key trading partners. And it's not without controversy. Recent moves targeting Colombia and Canada illustrate how he leverages tariffs to pressure foreign governments, often sparking significant backlash. In the case of Colombia, Trump threatened to impose steep tariffs on agricultural exports, including coffee and flowers, citing the country's failure to adequately curb drug trafficking and its refusal to fully cooperate with US migration policies. These tariffs, aimed at forcing compliance, would disrupt Colombia's export-driven economy and drew fierce criticism from Colombian President Gustavo Petro. Petro openly defied Trump, vowing not to bow to what he calls economic blackmail, and recently refused to allow US deportation flights to land in Colombia, believing that the use of military planes to repatriate Colombian nationals was degrading. Ultimately, Colombia backed down under the threat of 25 to 50% tariffs. The standoff signals a growing rift between the two nations, with Colombia seeking to diversify its trade relationships to reduce reliance on the United States. North of the border, Trump's threats of tariffs on Canadian aluminum and dairy products add another layer to his combative trade agenda. Trump has framed these tariffs as necessary to protect American industries, accusing Canada of unfair trade practices. In response, Canadian leaders have pushed back forcefully, warning of retaliatory measures that could escalate into a trade war. The tensions reached new heights when Trump floated the idea of Canadian statehood as a provocative solution to trade disputes, an idea widely dismissed by both Canadian officials and the public. Trump's recent declaration that the US should take back the Panama Canal has reignited debates about American influence in Latin America. Calling the 1977 treaty that transferred control of the canal to Panama a historic blunder, Trump argues that the canal is too important to global trade and US security to be left under foreign management. Incoming Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a prominent advocate for countering Chinese influence in the region, frames the issue as not just about Panama's sovereignty, but also about China's growing grip on key global trade routes. Rubio warns that Beijing's increasing presence in Panama is part of a broader strategy to displace US dominance in the Western Hemisphere. In recent years, China has made substantial investments in Panama. The Chinese state-owned company Landbridge Group now operates one of Panama's largest ports near the canal. Chinese firms have also signed major infrastructure contracts, including a $1.4 billion investment in upgrading the canal's logistics capabilities. Additionally, Beijing has strengthened diplomatic ties with Panama, signing trade agreements and wooing Panamanian leaders through initiatives tied to its Global Belt and Road initiative. Rubio and other US officials argue that these investments are not just economic but strategic. They view China's presence as an attempt to secure influence over one of the world's most critical trade corridors, raising concerns that Beijing could exploit its foothold in Panama to disrupt global commerce or challenge US security interests in the region. Meanwhile, Panama is pushing back against Trump's rhetoric, asserting its sovereignty and emphasizing that the canal remains under its control, not China's. Yet protests in Panama City and growing fears of US intervention show that Trump's remarks are sparking unease in the region. Panamanian officials warn that heavy-handed US actions could alienate Latin American nations further and drive them into Beijing's sphere of influence. With tensions rising, Trump's administration may ramp up military activity near the canal or impose new economic conditions on Panama to counterbalance Chinese influence. However, this strategy risks backfiring, especially if Panama and other Latin American nations view these actions as a return to US imperialism. Rubio's warnings also suggest that the Panama Canal could become a focal point for US-China rivalry in the region. If Beijing's investments continue to expand unchecked, the US may need to develop a comprehensive strategy to compete, not just in Panama, but throughout Latin America. As the world watches, the canal's future is poised to become a key battleground in the struggle for global influence. President Trump has refused to rule out the use of military force to reclaim the canal or to acquire the Arctic island of Greenland. Trump's interest in acquiring Greenland might initially sound like an outlandish idea, but it has historical roots and strategic reasoning. The US has long sought to acquire Greenland for its geopolitical and economic significance. This isn't the first attempt. President Truman famously offered $100 million in 1946 to buy Greenland, citing its strategic Arctic location during the early days of the Cold War. Trump's 2019 proposal brought this history back into focus, reigniting debates over Greenland's future and its relationship with Denmark. At the heart of Trump's proposal is Greenland's untapped potential. With its vast reserves of rare earth minerals, newly accessible due to climate change, and its critical location for military strategy, Greenland represents a prize in the emerging Arctic power struggle. Trump also criticized Denmark's stewardship of Greenland, claiming the island was underdeveloped and mismanaged, with much of its economy reliant on Danish subsidies. He argued that US investment could transform Greenland into a thriving economic hub. The proposal, however, sparked immediate backlash. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen dismissed Trump's offer as absurd, stating, "Greenland is not for sale. Greenland is not Danish. Greenland belongs to Greenland." Frederiksen's response underscored the island's autonomy, even as it remains financially dependent on Denmark. In Greenland itself, local politicians expressed a mix of outrage and skepticism. Greenland's Prime Minister Kim Kielsen said, "We are open to business, but we are not for sale." Other Greenlandic leaders saw Trump's proposal as a reminder of their colonial past and renewed calls for greater independence from Denmark. Beyond outright rejection, the response highlighted deeper frustrations in Greenland about its status within the Danish kingdom. While Denmark provides significant financial aid, many Greenlanders feel that their resources are underutilized and their autonomy is constrained. Trump's criticism of Danish management resonated with some locals who see economic stagnation as a barrier to future independence. China's growing involvement in Greenland has added another layer to this complex geopolitical landscape. Over the past decade, Chinese companies have shown significant interest in Greenland's mineral resources, particularly rare earth elements crucial for modern technologies. For instance, in 2016, Shenghai Resources, a Chinese firm, acquired a substantial stake in Greenland minerals and energy, aiming to develop the Kvanefjeld rare earth project. Additionally, Chinese state-owned enterprises have expressed interest in infrastructure projects, including airport construction and mining ventures. These investments align with China's broader strategy to secure access to essential resources and establish a foothold in the Arctic region. The US has viewed China's activities in Greenland with increasing concern. American officials worry that Chinese investments could lead to a strategic presence in the Arctic, potentially challenging US military and economic interests. This apprehension has been a significant catalyst for renewed US interest in Greenland. Trump's proposal to purchase the island can be seen as a direct response to counter China's expanding influence and to reassert American dominance in the region. Although Denmark and Greenland rejected Trump's offer, the proposal thrust the Arctic into the global spotlight. Greenland remains a strategic interest for the US, which maintains the Thule Air Base, a vital military installation. The region's growing importance, fueled by melting ice caps and emerging trade routes, ensures that Greenland will remain at the center of global geopolitics. China and Russia's increasing investments in the Arctic add further urgency. While Greenland has sought to avoid becoming a pawn in great power rivalries, Trump's proposal and the surrounding attention may inspire future US administrations to pursue closer ties with the island, whether through economic partnerships, infrastructure investments, or expanded military cooperation. If anything, the interest in the island has forced Denmark's hand on paying more attention to its far-flung dependency. Denmark recently announced it would spend over $2 billion to boost security in the Arctic area. Trump's Greenland gambit, while dismissed by many, captures his bold and transactional approach to foreign policy. Whether viewed as visionary or impractical, it's a move that continues to shape discussions about Greenland's future and its role in the Arctic's geopolitical chessboard, while sending a message to Russia and China that the US views Greenland as firmly in its own sphere. So what do you think? Are Trump's bold moves visionary or reckless? From tariffs to the Panama Canal and Greenland, one thing's for sure, he's not afraid to shake up the playbook. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do these strategies position America as a global leader, or do they risk isolating us from key allies? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more deep dives into global politics. See you next time.